Hey, I'm Dave Watkins from Watkins Films. If you would, there is a like button directly under this video. If you could like that, like hit it and like the video. Even if you don't like it, it will be very helpful. So recently I did a video and I watched Scream Factory's collector's edition of The Island of Dr. Moreau. Now this inspired me to go back and watch the 1932 original Island of Lost Souls. Now I did see this a long time ago, but it's been a long time and I vaguely remembered it, even though some things did stand out from the original watch. But so this is a Criterion release, and they come with these stickers. They're usually out on the outside of the plastic. Usually I will take the plastic off and then meticulously take the sticker and then put it back on here, unless it's like a, something that might mess the cover up, because this is just plastic. But Scream Factory doesn't do a lot of horror movies. They have done some, like for instance, Videodrome and the others. But they're usually known for doing something more like what some people consider to be the best movie ever made, Citizen Kane. And it is a damn fine movie, and I highly recommend it. So The Island of Lost Souls is a pre-code movie from 1932. Now, the motion picture code didn't take into full effect until around 1934. So there was a period between when sound movies started and the code began where they were able to get away with some stuff that they weren't able to for a long time. Now, the motion picture code lasted until around 1968, and in the 70s, you started to see some more interesting type of movies. Now, the production code was a very strict moral code, and it didn't allow things to happen like criminals getting away with crimes. They were either had to die during the movie or be put in jail. It didn't allow homosexuality, a lot of sexual situations. So, it's just this very, it kind of made the movies more predictable. And so you got, some people might like that aspect because there may be some things that they'd rather not see in it. But it did make it so there's some things that might be surprising might not pop up. Now, this movie, even though it was a pre-cut movie, it was censored in other countries, and they had to cut out some scenes, and they cut out more like dialogue snippets and things of that nature. And so over time, a lot of the elements to this movie were lost, but they were able to patch this together for this release. There's a booklet in here. There's a Dr. Moreau on the front, played by Charles Laughton, and but as far as the transfer of the movie, I'm going to read a little bit of this. So it says, so the movie was shot in an aspect ratio of 1:33:1, which is also known as 4:3. And it warns you here that there are black bars on the side of the movie, which about like that, maybe, probably about like that. And so when you're watching it, the black bars may kind of stand out as like, oh man, this sucks. What's up? I don't have the whole picture. But in that time period, widescreen wasn't like as big as it is now. I don't even think it was quite invented yet. So you kind of, the movie screens were about like that, and that's what the size of this movie is. And you kind of get used to it after a while. Yeah, probably about after a few minutes of it, you don't even, I don't even think about it anymore. And it says, because the original negative no longer survives, this new digital transfer was created from a number of sources, including a 35mm fine-grained master positive with some inherent damage. So we're lucky that this movie they were able to put together what they did. There are a lot of movies from this time period that have been lost to time. But luckily they were able to put this one back together, and for the most part, it looks really good. I don't think, unless they did some kind of masterful AI stuff to it, they wouldn't be able to remove a lot of this grain without really affecting it. It would have to be AI technology. It's the only way they would be able to make this look more crisp and more to make it look more, I guess, more detailed. But it might take away something. But I prefer this to any kind of tinkering, to an authentic type of tinkering. What they've done here is pretty impressive. It's a very nice Criterion release. So the story, based on H.G. Wells' novel, and same as the other movies, it follows a shipwrecked character who ends up on the island, and he can't get away. And it has the same characters like Montgomery. Val Kilmer played him in the other one, and who really Montgomery's handled differently in this one than I've seen him handled before. And he usually gets killed. In this one, he survives the movie, and he has a change of heart, which he typically has somewhat of a change of heart, but he kind of becomes one of the good guys before the end of this movie. Dr. Moreau, played by Charles Laughton, is a lot different than Marlon Brando's version. And at first it was a little... I saw this a long time ago, and I remembered his performance, but I think I've seen the other one more times. And I do like the way Marlon Brando's character is revealed in the movie, as he doesn't just come out and be like, "Yo, I'm Dr. Moreau," sort of thing. Well, not that Charles Laughton does that exactly, but he's kind of a mysterious character and he appears later on while he's on the island. Here, when he gets to the island, right away, Dr. Moreau comes up to him, and he's like, "I'm Dr. Moreau." He's very more of a friendly acting person. He is a little quirky and a little flamboyant, which all of these mannerisms kind of at first make you think that he is a trustworthy person, but he is anything but that. He is doing these experiments on the island on trying to make animals and human hybrids, which he has been successful doing. In order to keep the animals under control, he has a whip. He's like smacks the shit out of them with a whip. And in the Marlon Brando version, he has like a remote control sort of thing where they all have implants. But this is before that type of technology. Now, Charles Laughton has a whip, and that's enough to scare them because they don't want to be whipped. And they are. It is almost like, in a way, like training an animal where they might react to that sort of thing, and once that sort of threat is taken away, that is when they run things. I think here there are, and also he sets like a lot of rules, like don't kill, don't do this, and the rules are what really keeps all the animal creatures from taking over the island and creating anarchy, which that sort of situation would eventually result in their destruction. But you don't immediately feel like a sense of like alarm from him, like this is a dangerous person. But he is probably the most dangerous type of personality type, and the main character is in a lot of danger because he wants him to have sex with this other animal hybrid who looks more like a woman, but she is a hybrid. He doesn't tell her that, and he's hoping that the two will have sex and she'll get pregnant and see what's going to happen from that. But so that character is called the Panther lady, also Loda. Here she is there. Now, there was a big publicity stunt as far as the casting of this character, where they brought in a bunch of people, and it was like a big thing where they would have a lot of people like audition for the role, and she eventually got it, and she's very, very good in the movie. Some of the other ladies who didn't get the role ended up going on to do bigger things, but I think she was she was appropriately cast, and she does a very nice job. There is also another female character kind of shoehorned into this thing. It's almost like they have a white lady girlfriend of the main character that eventually makes her way to the island, and they do it in a way that it makes sense, but it's just kind of funny the way they had to get her in there. Her name was Lila Hymas, the actress she played one of the main characters in the movie Freaks. They actually worked her appearance in the island in a very interesting way that really enables the plot. It really advances the plot because before she gets there, the main character is ready to leave, and Dr. Moreau is ready to do some crazy experiments on. He's wanting him and the Loda to hook up and do, and get pregnant and all that, but that's not working out. She shows up, and then his next plan is to get one of the animal human hybrids from the island to rape her and get her pregnant. So that's how crazy the character is. That's how his mind is, just always thinking, I'm going to do this new experiment and see what happens. See if they get her pregnant, see how it's going to look. So the animal human hybrids look, the makeup looks pretty cool in this movie, and you see them a lot. You don't see them as much, I think, as in the newer version, but you see a lot of them on screen. There's like a pig man, and Bela Lugosi plays the Sayer of the Law. Now he comes out and he has he has to kind of tell them what the law is, and he has a scene kind of about maybe a third of the way into the movie, and then it's a good scene, but then you don't see him for a long time, and then at the end he comes back, and he is the one that makes the decision that the law is bullshit because Dr. Moreau has told one of the guys to kill somebody, and so he's kind of the main driving force of the rebellion or the uprisal of the animal human hybrids who have been living in caves to take out Dr. Moreau. But it's really Charles Laughton's performance as Dr. Moreau that really makes this movie work. He's all dressed in white, and he's a scientist doing experiments. He has a god complex. He actually says it's something to the extent of he thinks he's a god at one point because of what he's doing. And he's very swarmy and intense. But the thing is, even though he thinks he might be a god, he's really more like the devil. And everything he does is very self-serving, or it's very cruel. And he's an awful character, but I think the performance is right on point. And where he does his experiments he calls that the House of Pain. He brings them in there, and they're screaming bloody murder, and that's one of the scenes that they cut. But there's a scene where the main character's out there with Loda, and they're hearing the screaming, and then he's like, "What is that?" And she's like, "It's the House of Pain." And I think that's sampled on maybe that House of Pain song or something like that. But overall, I think I really enjoyed this. It's been a long time since I had seen it, and at first I was a little taken back by the differences in it, but the differences in this one and the 70s version and the other movie are all what makes them interesting. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you liked the video, again, hit like down there. At least hit like, and if you haven't subscribed yet, if you could subscribe.